Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Christo's Cafe. Based on the popularity of my Journey, Is It Worth It videos, I wanted to release something about the expansion pass for Price of Power. Now, GWENT is doing something very unique. For the first time ever, they are releasing this next expansion, Price of Power, over 3 different kind of smaller installments. The first one coming out in just a day or two, once upon a pyre. Now, based on that, it's obviously a little bit complicated as to how you're going to go ahead and release cards, since every drop is going to be 26 cards. So that's 1 of each rarity for each faction and then 2 neutral cards. You can't exactly go and simply release kegs and say, hey, go get your 26 cards in kegs. So there will be no kegs for the first 2 releases of this expansion. They're going to come out at the end when everything is released. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still get these cards in faction kegs, so you have the ability to get them. They're also going to be included in ultimate kegs, but based on the number of cards that exist in the game and the few number of cards from the expansion, obviously it's going to be more difficult to get them that way. Your end goal is essentially going to be to craft them, to spend your scraps and craft these cards. Now, that presents some challenges. Not everybody has the scraps for them. Not everybody is, in a situation where they've played since beta and they've got a truckload of scraps. Some people may have a little bit more of a limited scenario, and that's where things like this expansion pass come out. This is an alternate way of going about acquiring the cards from this expansion. Now, they did mention that besides this expansion pass, there's also going to be faction passes that are going to be based on specific factions. You can get all the cards from them. But that is going to be released later on, I imagine, once the expansion comes out in a couple days. But for now, you are limited to the expansion pass, which will cover all 3 expansions, get you all the cards, get you all the premiums. But is it worth it? It's a hefty price tag, don't get me wrong. We're looking at it here, $59.99. So that's a couple bucks if you want to go ahead and spend it. And since your alternatives are somewhat limited, you can't just go buy kegs for this. You can't spend gold on it at all, really. It becomes a bigger question. So the purpose of my video today is to walk you through, is this worth it for you? And I'm going to try and customize this as much as possible, talk about the newer player, talk about the more experienced player, talk about that player in between. I've only been playing GWENT for just over a year now, so I'd like to think that I'm somewhat, fresh in experiencing the game in different ways and can hopefully bring you some perspective that helps you. Now, as you can see from my screen, I have already purchased the expansion pass. I personally, I'm just a little bit of a sucker for the GWENT cosmetics, and I was a big fan. I'm also a sucker for the premium cards. So I went ahead and did it. If you check up top, you can also see I'm a little short on powder. So that was another reason that contributed to it. I have to thank, while I talk about that, anybody who subs to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TheOneChristo, because that is typically where I go and take that money and I just go and throw it back into the game, so I can continue creating content for you. So for me personally, I have a full collection. I have some scraps left over. I could probably craft the expansion if I so chose. Don't have enough premium powder to make things fun, so decided to go ahead and spend the cash. Now, I want to compare this to a couple different things. I mentioned I've been playing for about a year, which means I've seen a few expansions come out and I've spent some money on them, so I'm going to look at comparing it to a couple things. Let's talk about the expansion pass to start, all right? So in the expansion pass, what we're getting here is, first off, 117 premium Price of Power cards, including 78 unique cards. That essentially means you get a full playset of cards. So 2 copies, 1 copy, wherever it is necessary. That gives you everything you need to play. And this is premium. These are premium cards. You're also going to get 21 themed ornaments. That's 18 avatars. They're releasing an avatar that represents every legendary faction card over the 3 expansions, so you're going to get 6 per expansion, 18 total. You're getting a game board, a card back, and a leader skin. Some people have been a little bit on edge since they haven't actually told us what the card back or leader skin are going to look like, or who the leader skin is going to be, or even if the leader skin is going to be neutral or will be tied to a faction. They haven't mentioned it yet. I don't know if they don't know yet. I'm leaving that up in the air. They have showed us the board. You can kind of see it in the image here. So you will get access to the board. You're also going to get the Pyre coin. That is something that is unlockable immediately. You will get it from day 1. So you're getting good value there for Again, I'm talking in USD here, 60 bucks. Being in Canada, the conversion rate tweaks it a little bit based on what I end up paying, but I'm gonna try and go with USD just because it's the easiest math I could create. So for $60, you are getting every card in the expansion. That's an important point because the previous expansion offers have always offered kegs, premium kegs, regular kegs, but they're always kegs. And that means you are limited to not potentially getting every card in the expansion. So let's go back to the Way of the Witcher combo offer. So again, I'm taking kind of the premium selection that you could get out of all the expansions, the premium package, because that is going to be most in line with the cost. So now, the Way of the Witcher combo offer gave you 25 premium kegs. That gives you 125 cards in a 70 card set. The problem with that is you're not guaranteed every card. In reality, you're getting almost the same amount of cards as you're getting in the Price of Power expansion, where you're getting 117. Sure, you can burn some of those extra cards for scrap and powder, etc. The thing is, you then need to take those scraps and build the rest of your cards from that set. So, not guaranteed a full set. You're getting Alzur's Lab, which is the board, which you get Price of Power as well. You're getting an Alzur's premium card, so let's throw that in. Let's say you get 126 cards versus 117. You're getting a card back as well. You're getting a title, The Witcher, and you're getting 10 journey levels. All in all, the extras kind of even out between the avatars, the game board, cards, skins, coins, all of that. They more or less even out, I'll say, from my perspective. Now, the math that I have, this is 55 bucks. So you got about a $5 difference, but you're getting every single card on the Price of Power side. You're getting your board, you're getting your card back, you're getting your leader skin. Here, you're actually getting a board, you're getting the card back, you're getting a leader, you're not getting a leader skin, sorry, no Alzur, that came through Alzur's journey. You're getting a title instead. So the value there is slightly different. You're getting 10 journey levels to help you along. There isn't a huge difference in value. So for that $5, do you prefer to get every card in the set, or would you rather pull kegs? Don't get me wrong, opening kegs, a lot more fun than just getting all the cards, but there's a very strong chance that you do not get every card from the set. So that $5 difference, if it's worth it for you to take the Price of Power expansion instead, you get every card, and I think that's a huge benefit. So for the $5 difference, I don't see that bothering me between the two, because you're essentially offsetting that with the cards. Take a step back, we're going to look at Master Mirror. They're around the same price, $55, as the Way of the Witcher combo offer. In this case, you're getting 25 kegs, 25 premium kegs, 10 regular kegs, you're getting 175 cards. Now this puts you a lot closer to getting every one of those 70 cards. Still a possibility of you not doing that and needing to go back and spend some of the scraps and powder you get out of it. You're getting the Gaunter skin, you're getting a title, you're getting a card back, you're not getting a board in this scenario. So that's the one ornament you're missing. You're not getting a coin like you're getting in the Price of Power situation. Again, that $5 is all relative to say, do I prefer to get the full set, or do I want to open those kegs? Do I want to get the scraps? Do I want to get the powder? Now, your less rare cards, you're going to get all of those. If you're opening 35 kegs, even 25 premium kegs, you're probably getting all of your basic cards, and then you're gonna have to craft a few legendaries, maybe a few epics, but you're getting everything else. So there is only a few limits. If you don't care about the full set, if you just want to craft your cards as you go, the Price of Power expansion is probably not necessary for you. You can craft as you go just fine. You can maybe look at picking up the faction passes that they're talking about. If you focus on 1 or 2 factions, they'll probably be a little bit cheaper, and that can be the direction you go instead. So looking at it this way, if you want the full collection, the Price of Power expansion, obviously well worth your money. If you don't really care so much for it, then don't do it. If you're going to be crafting a little bit as you go, then you're probably not in that big of a hole if you decide just to go ahead and spend the scraps and things like that. I did mention I'm going to talk about a few different scenarios, and I will do that in a moment. Before I do that, I want to highlight something quickly. I want to bring up a graphic that talks about a competing game. We're going to talk about Hearthstone for a minute, and I know not everybody agrees with this or wants to talk about it, because at the end of the day, they are a little bit different, right? When you're looking at Hearthstone versus you're looking at Gwent. But I thought this was interesting, and I will tell you exactly why. Now, this goes ahead and highlights basically the different costs of the different Hearthstone pre-order offers that they've had in the past. Now, again, I understand different game. Hearthstone is known to be a little bit more pricey, but I just want to highlight the fact that Hearthstone and Gwent are kind of aligning pretty well here, which I guess is a scary thought if you're thinking about it from a dollar perspective. But Rise of Shadows, the most recent expansion, $50 for the pre-order. That gets you 50 packs I'll get back to that in a second. You also get a special card back and 1 legendary card. I'm aligning it with this $50 pack because it more or less corresponds in price. Now those 50 packs gets you 250 cards. Keep in mind the expansion is twice the size, more or less. You're getting 136 cards in Hearthstone. You're getting about 70, 78 in this scenario in GWENT. So 250 cards still doesn't guarantee you, and a lot of time it won't guarantee you every card because of those legendary cards, etc. They are obviously a lot more difficult to acquire. So for the same price, in my opinion, you're getting almost no cosmetics. You're getting a card back. You're not even getting a hero skin or anything. You have to jump up to 80 bucks to get a hero skin. So any extra cosmetic is going to be extra pricey here. For the extra $10, you get every card in the set, which is huge and I think is uncomparable to anything else we see out there if you're looking at Hearthstone and all that kind of stuff. Now, I want to take it back because I want to focus on that different type of player I mentioned before. This saying, is it worth it or not? Is it worth the money if you have the money to spend, if you're planning on spending the money? Yeah, 100% it is. If you're already planning on getting a pre-order pack and this is just different for you, still worth the money. If you're looking at getting every card in the set and you're going to premium them anyway and all that, probably still worth it. But at the end of the day, this creates kind of a conundrum for players who are a little bit more experienced. If you've been around for a long time, you have a ton of scraps, you have a ton of powder, and you don't really care about your cosmetics that much, no, obviously not worth it for you. Spend the scraps, spend the powder. If you care about the cosmetics, they did mention during the dev stream, Burza and Slama, that there may down the line be an opportunity to get those cosmetics separately, because I know there are some people who are absolutely in it for the cosmetics and want them. You're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. Unfortunately, the only way to get them right now is through the expansion pass. So they are holding you a touch hostage with cosmetics. But at the end of the day, if you're spending 60 bucks just for the cosmetics, maybe just wait a little bit and see what other options you get. But if you're a brand new player and you want to bolster your collection, go with the expansion pass. It's a great opportunity to get a lot of cards, get a great opportunity to get some premium cards as well. So you've got the ability there to go ahead and do that. If you're a newer player, the fun part about it is if you don't want to spend the money, you really don't have to. You're probably going to be opening a lot of faction packs anyway, faction kegs as you're going and you're building your collection. So rely on those to get you the cards. Rely on the ultimate kegs to get you the cards. If you're a brand new player, you have so many different options. If you've got the money to spend, great. I suggest you do it. If you don't, it's not a big deal because you have different ways of getting the cards. So that's the fun part. Where I find the biggest issue lies is if you're kind of in that middle ground. You're not missing a lot of cards. You don't buy kegs really regularly with your gold because they don't provide you a lot of value since you're missing a few things here and there. It's kind of weird. If you don't want to fall further behind, you almost feel the need to buy the expansion pass to go out there and say, well, I want to fill up my collection. I want to have all the cards from Price of Power because I don't have the resources to craft them right now. I don't have that many. I'm missing cards still from the other sets. I would love to buy kegs for this, but I can't. So that's where I find it difficult to make that decision, is when you're stuck in that middle ground. You have the ability to spend the money if you have it to get the expansion pass and you're in a really nice scenario going forward because you're going to have all those cards. But if you don't, buying kegs feels bad. And that's where the challenge lies. I think if you're in that middle ground, you get the most benefit from actually buying the expansion pass because you don't have to worry about the set and you can go focus on the few cards you're missing. But if you're in a scenario where you don't have the money to spend, you kind of just have to rely on buying kegs and hoping to fill your collection or gather the scraps to spend it otherwise. And that's where I find it's really unfortunate. Newer players are going to have an easy time getting cards in any way. More advanced players are going to have the scraps in all likelihood to craft the cards they need. And if you're in that middle ground, it just sort of feels bad. So I think that's where you need to really put your thought in and decide, hey, is it worth it for me to spend this 60 bucks, get the expansion pass? Or do I want to wait, see how things play out over time? If they're going to release, smaller packs, what that faction pack looks like, things like that. So, again, this was less of a black and white, you should do it, you shouldn't do it. I think it really comes down to the fact that, look, for what you're getting, this is really well priced. It's priced well within the industry of other games. It's priced comparably to everything else you've seen in GWENT in the past. The problem is you have no real other options. As of right now, as of today, I'm filming this June 6th, the Masters has just ended, and I'm thinking about it this way. You've got very few other options, and that's where we run into the challenge. Right now, is it worth it? Yeah, if you have 60 bucks, it's totally worth it. If you don't, your challenge is, how else do I unlock these cards? I realize that's probably not the answer most of you wanted in watching this video. You wanted the yes, no, just go do it, or whatever the case may be. But unfortunately, it's not that clear. We don't have all the information yet. We don't know everything that's going to happen in the coming days, weeks, months, as the expansion sections continue to drop, as part 2 and part 3 drop. All I can say for right now, confidently, is that the expansion has good value. If you're buying the expansion pass, the value is absolutely there. If you would do it in the past, do it again. If you wouldn't, then don't. And unfortunately, you may be in a sticky situation when it comes to crafting cards. So they mentioned it. Burz and Slama mentioned it. This is a trial. This is something new, something different they're going with. It's not necessarily perfect, and it won't necessarily not get tweaked in the future. So please give them feedback. Go tweet at them, drop into Discord, give some feedback if you think this should be different, if you'd like to see it changed, because I'm sure they will take that to heart and hopefully make some adjustments. I personally love the aspect of dropping 3 different expansions, or splitting one expansion into 3, because you do get to constantly change that meta. You don't get 6 months between relying on balance patches to hopefully figure things out. Here you get new cards pumped into the game regularly, and I'm really, really excited about it. So I hope this gives you some food for thought as to, hey, is this worth it or not? And hopefully I will see you out there in the Gwent world playing some Price of Power.
Oh, what a lovely tea party.